The Judgment. The vast chamber of the galactic consensus stretched impossibly wide, its transparent ceiling revealing the dance of stars and nebulae above. Admiral Maya Takeda stood with perfect military posture beside Dr. Leon Chen, Earth's chief diplomat. They represented humanity's first official delegation to the interstellar community, a moment their species had dreamed of for centuries. 12 distinct alien species occupied the tiered seating surrounding the central platform where Maya and Leon waited. The primary representatives, the High Council, sat on elevated platforms. Most alien to human eyes was Totral, a crystalline entity whose faceted body pulsed with internal light. Beside it floated Morva, a gelatinous being sustained in a transparent containment field. The most humanoid counselor, Rentha, possessed 4 arms and iridescent scaled skin. Representatives of Earth, began Sotral. Its voice translated through the neural implants Maya and Leon had reluctantly accepted for this meeting. We have deliberated on your petition to join the consensus. We have analyzed your broadcasts, your history, your biology, and your psychological patterns. Maya felt the weight of billions of eyes across thousands of worlds watching this transmission. Earth had united as never before when the consensus probe arrived in orbit 5 years ago. Ancient conflicts have been set aside in preparation for this moment. Humanity presents a unique case, continued Morva, its form rippling with each syllable. Your technological progress is remarkable, advancing in centuries what took other species millennia. Leon stepped forward, his diplomatic training evident in his measured response. The consensus has acknowledged our rapid adaptation as impressive. We have overcome environmental challenges, disease, and resource limitations. In the past century alone, we've eliminated global hunger, developed sustainable energy, and begun healing our planet's ecosystems. The serpentine counselor, Sisva, made a sound that the translator rendered as skeptical laughter. Your achievements are not in question, human. It is the means by which you achieve them. Maya tensed as holographic displays activated around the chamber, showing Earth's history, wars, environmental destruction, social upheaval. No species in the consensus has spent more of its recorded history at war with itself, stated Rentha. Your most significant technological leaps occurred during periods of conflict. Your space exploration began as a competition between rival powers. Even your unified government formed only after the climate crisis nearly destroyed your civilization. Leon maintained his composure. Through conflict, we forged cooperation. Our diversity of thought has driven innovation. That is precisely what concerns us, interrupted Xotral. Your species advances most rapidly under pressure, through competition, through conflict. Most consensus species evolve through cooperation, through slow, steady advancement. Maya could no longer remain silent. With respect, counselors, you're condemning us for our resilience, for our drive to overcome obstacles. Isn't that exactly what you would want in an ally? The chamber fell silent at her unexpected interjection. Leon shot her a warning glance. Morva's gelatinous form pulsed rapidly. Admiral Takeda, your psychological profile indicates aggressive tendencies even by human standards. Your thoughts reveal you are already assessing potential weaknesses in our defenses. Maya froze. The neural translator. They were reading her thoughts. Zotral's crystalline form brightened. The Council has voted. Earth is classified as a Category D civilization, technologically advanced but culturally unsuitable for integration. A monitoring boundary will be established at the edge of your solar system. You may develop within those confines, but any attempt to venture beyond will be met with immediate sanction. You're quarantining us? Leon asked, his diplomatic mask finally cracking. For how long? Until your species evolves beyond its inherent aggression, Rentha stated, based on similar species development patterns, approximately 20,000 years. The Earth delegation erupted in protests. 20,000 years, longer than human civilization had existed. It was a death sentence to humanity's cosmic ambitions. This is xenophobic prejudice, shouted Dr. Eliza Santos, their xenobiologist. "You fear what's different from you. You haven't even given us a chance to prove ourselves," Leon added, struggling to maintain his composure. Maya remained silent, her military mind already calculating. The consensus had revealed too much. Their technology, their psychology, their arrogance. She caught the eye of Dr. Nathan Reeves, their chief scientist, and saw the same realization there. "The decision is final," Sotral declared. "You will be escorted back to Earth. The isolation barrier will be activated within one standard rotation." As enforcement drones surrounded them, Maya leaned close to Leon. "They've shown us everything we need," she whispered. "This isn't the end. It's just the beginning." The journey back to Earth was tense. While the diplomats drafted their grim report, Maya convened a secret meeting with key military and scientific personnel in the ship's secure conference room. "They've given us two choices," Maya began without preamble. "Accept extinction through isolation, or find another path. A quarantine enforced by ship sentries beyond our technology isn't much of a choice," Dr. Reeves noted bitterly. "They showed their hand," Maya replied. "FTL travel, advanced materials, energy sources we've only theorized. More importantly, they revealed their greatest weakness." "Which is?" asked Captain Raj Sharma, their pilot. "Most species in the consensus evolved through cooperation rather than competition," Maya explained. "It makes them vulnerable to those who didn't. To us." Dr. Reeves leaned forward, understanding dawning. "You're suggesting we violate the quarantine. That would confirm every fear they have about us." "No," Maya said. "I'm suggesting we use what they've given us, a common enemy for all humanity. With this exile, Earth will unite as never before. We'll develop in secret, reverse engineer what we can from the data we've gathered, and prepare." "For what?" Leon asked from the doorway. He hadn't been invited, but had come anyway. Maya met his gaze unflinchingly. "For the day we return to the stars on our terms, not theirs." The announcement of Earth's quarantine shocked humanity into unprecedented unity. Ancient rivalries dissolved as nations faced a common threat: irrelevance in the cosmic order. The Terran Advancement Initiative was born, a globally funded project to overcome the consensus restrictions. 5 years after the quarantine, deep beneath the Mariana Trench, Dr. Nathan Reeves stood before the world's assembled leaders in the command center of Atlantis Base. "The consensus made one critical error," he announced, gesturing to the massive engineering project behind him. "They assumed our competitive nature was our weakness. They failed to realize what happens when humans are told they can't do something." On the display screen, a prototype vessel unlike anything Earth had built before hovered in a massive underwater chamber. "Ladies and gentlemen," Reeves continued, "I present the TSV Defiance, the first ship of humanity's covered fleet, incorporating technology reverse-engineered from consensus data. Its drive system will allow us to slip past their quarantine undetected." Admiral Takeda, now Director of Earth Defense, stepped forward. "Phase 1 of the initiative is complete. We can breach their barrier. Now we begin Phase 2. Expansion beyond their knowledge, preparation for the day we challenge their judgment." As the leaders applauded, Maya's gaze met Leon's across the room. The diplomat nodded slightly. He had come to understand what she had known from the beginning. The consensus had unwittingly set humanity on the path to becoming exactly what they feared. The quarantine was in place, but Earth's defiance had just begun. Part 2. The Awakening. Commander Sasha Reeves checked her neural interface for the third time as the TSV Pathfinder prepared to exit hyperspace. 30 years had passed since the consensus had quarantined Earth, declaring humanity too dangerous for integration. 30 years of secret development, covert expansion, and careful planning. "Hyperspace exit in 5 seconds," announced Lieutenant Kai Nomura from the navigation station. "All systems nominal." Sasha, daughter of Dr. Nathan Reeves, one of the architects of Earth's technological revolution, Straightened in her command chair, the bridge crew of 12 represented Earth's finest, hand-picked for this mission of unprecedented importance. Shields at maximum, Sasha ordered. Stealth systems engaged. The Pathfinder slipped back into normal space with barely a ripple, a testament to how far human technology had advanced. Before them lay a star system designated NGC 5523 by Earth astronomers, but known to the consensus as Pelax IV, home to a pre-spaceflight civilization called the Vorians. No consensus vessels detected, reported Security Chief Elena Volkov. Our approach appears unnoticed. Launch observation drones, Sasha commanded. Let's see what the consensus is so interested in protecting. For 3 decades, Earth had operated beyond its solar system in absolute secrecy. 7 colony worlds had been established in unclaimed systems. Mining operations extracted resources from uninhabited planets. A fleet of increasingly sophisticated ships patrolled these hidden territories, all while the consensus believed humanity remained safely contained. The observation drones transmitted data to the Pathfinder systems. The 4th planet of the system, a verdant world with twin moons, appeared on the main display. Life signs confirmed, announced Dr. Amara Okafor, their xenobiologist. The Vorians appear to be amphibious humanoids, technology equivalent to Earth's early industrial age. Sasha studied the readings with interest. Standard consensus protocol would be to observe without interference. Let's see if that's what they're doing. The Pathfinder maintained its position at the edge of the system, gathering data for several hours. The crew's vigilance was rewarded when their sensors detected a spatial distortion, the signature of a consensus vessel entering the system. Consensus ship identified, Elena reported. Classification matches known Harvester-class vessels, not a standard observation platform. Sasha frowned. Track their approach vector. What's a Harvester doing in a protected system? The answer came soon enough. The consensus vessel established orbit around the 2nd planet, an uninhabited world rich in rare minerals according to their scans. Drone footage showed automated mining equipment deploying to the surface. They're stripping resources from the system while keeping the Vorians ignorant, Dr. Okafor noted with disgust. So much for their high-minded principles. More disturbing was what the long-range sensors detected next. The Harvester was releasing particles into the Vorian homeworld's upper atmosphere, subtle enough to avoid detection by the pre-industrial species below, but their purpose was clear to the human scientists. They're seeding atmospheric compounds that will accelerate greenhouse warming. Dr. Jamil Hassan, their environmental specialist, reported after analyzing the data. Within a century, this world will become uninhabitable for the Vorians. The consensus is terraforming their planet. Lieutenant Nomura asked, incredulous. Why? The 2nd planet has more resources and no native life. Because the Vorian biochemistry makes their world optimal for Morva colonization, Dr. Okafor explained grimly. The changes they're inducing would kill the Vorians, but create perfect conditions for Morva settlement. Sasha's face hardened. So the consensus quarantines humanity for being too aggressive, while they commit slow genocide against pre-spaceflight species. Record everything. We're taking this evidence back to Earth Command. But as the Pathfinder prepared to depart, their sensors detected a distress signal from the surface, faint but unmistakably artificial, and definitely not Vorian in origin. The signal's not broadcasting toward consensus space, Elena noted. It's directed outward, away from known territories. Sasha made a quick decision. Triangulate the source. Prepare a stealth shuttle. We're investigating. Hours later, Sasha led a small team through dense vegetation toward the signal's origin. The humid air of the Vorian world clung to their environmental suits as they crested a ridge overlooking a small valley. There, partially hidden by the forest canopy, sat a crashed ship of unfamiliar design. Definitely not consensus technology, remarked Dr. Hassan, scanning the wreckage. The architecture suggests a completely different design philosophy. Life signs detected, Elena reported. One biosignature, weak but stable. Inside the crashed vessel, they found the pilot, a gracile being with 4 arms and iridescent skin that reminded Sasha of Earth's octopi. The alien was injured but conscious, its multifaceted eyes widening at the sight of the humans. Universal Translator activated, announced Dr. Okafor. Let's hope the consensus databases we've accessed are accurate. The alien spoke, its words rendered in flat, mechanical English. You are not consensus, yet you possess their technology. Paradox. We're human, from Earth, Sasha replied. We're here investigating consensus activities in this system. The alien's color shifted slightly. Humans. Quarantine species. Dangerous, unpredictable. Yet you came to investigate, not exploit. Interesting. You know about us? Sasha asked, surprised. I am Tazek, scout for the Free Systems Alliance. We monitor consensus expansion, protect independent worlds when possible. Earth's quarantine is known to us, an unusual punishment for a species that had committed no crime beyond being different. As they treated Tazek's injuries, the alien explained that the Free Systems Alliance consisted of 17 species operating beyond consensus control, some that had rejected membership, others that had been deemed unsuitable like humanity. The consensus presents itself as benevolent, but its core species manipulate galactic development to maintain supremacy, Tazek explained. Species that evolve through competition, rather than cooperation, are isolated or suppressed. Worlds with valuable resources are subtly sterilized and harvested, as they planned for this one. We've been developing in secret for 30 years, Sasha told Tazek. We have colonies, ships, technology that can match or exceed consensus capabilities in some areas. But we've remained hidden, building our strength. Tazek's color shifted to what Dr. Okafor interpreted as thoughtful consideration. The Alliance has long sought ways to challenge consensus dominance, but we lack certain capabilities. Your species' unique evolutionary path, your adaptability, your innovation under pressure would make you valuable allies. And what would the Alliance offer us in return? Sasha asked. Knowledge of territories beyond consensus space, trading partners, resources, most importantly, legitimacy, recognition that humanity deserves a place among the stars. As they returned to the Pathfinder with Tazek, Sasha knew this encounter would change everything. Earth had been developing in isolation, believing itself alone against the consensus. Now, they had discovered potential allies, others who had been judged and found wanting by the same arrogant standards. When they returned to Earth, Director Maya Takeda, now in her 70s, but still commanding Earth defense with undiminished authority, listened to their report with growing interest. This changes our strategic position significantly, she noted. We've been preparing for eventual confrontation with the consensus. With allies, we might force recognition without direct conflict. Over the following months, Earth established diplomatic relations with the Free Systems Alliance. Human ingenuity complemented Alliance resources. Trading networks expanded. Knowledge was exchanged. The quarantine that was meant to contain humanity had instead created the perfect conditions for Earth to develop without consensus interference or regulation. 1 year after the Pathfinder's discovery, an incident at the edge of Alliance space forced the situation to its inevitable conclusion. A consensus patrol detected a human vessel, the TSV Aurora, assisting an Alliance world with atmospheric stabilization technology. The patrol attempted to capture the human ship, citing quarantine violations. They underestimated how far human technology had advanced. The Aurora disabled both consensus vessels without casualties and escaped, but the confrontation could no longer be hidden. News spread through consensus space. The quarantined humans had not only broken their isolation, but had developed capabilities that rivaled consensus military technology. On Earth, Director Takeda met with the Global Council to address the situation. The consensus now knows we violated their quarantine, she stated. They will be preparing a response. We have 3 options: retreat to Sol system and accept punishment, continue operating covertly with heightened risk, or move to Phase 3 of the initiative. Phase 3 had always been the endgame, the moment when humanity would reveal its full capabilities and demand recognition. The question had been when, not if. The Alliance is prepared to publicly acknowledge human worlds as sovereign territory beyond consensus jurisdiction, reported Dr. Leon Chen, still serving as Earth's chief diplomat 3 decades after the quarantine began. With their support, we can establish a legitimate power block independent of consensus control. The vote was unanimous. After 30 years of preparation, humanity would step out of the shadows. 3 days later, a fleet of 27 Earth vessels decloaked near the consensus border station that monitored the quarantine boundary. Led by the TSV Defiance, the newest flagship of Earth's fleet, they'd broadcast on all consensus frequencies. "Attention consensus authorities," began Commander Sasha Reeves, chosen as humanity's representative for this historic moment. "The quarantine imposed upon Earth 30 years ago is hereby declared null and void. Humanity has established sovereign territories beyond your jurisdiction and formed alliances with independent systems. We do not seek conflict, but neither will we accept isolation. The time has come for recognition and negotiation, as equals." As the message transmitted across consensus space, the human fleet maintained perfect formation. On thousands of worlds, billions of beings witnessed humanity's return, not as supplicants seeking admission, but as a power demanding recognition. The consensus had intended the quarantine to contain what they feared. Instead, it had created exactly what they had sought to prevent: a unified, technologically advanced human civilization, unfettered by consensus regulation and driven by the determination to prove their worth among the stars. Phase 3 had begun. The reckoning. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Consensus had never been this chaotic. Representatives from 200 member species filled the chamber with a cacophony of protest, debate, and alarm. At the center of the controversy stood a single human. Dr. Leon Chen, now in his 70s, his once black hair turned silver, but his diplomatic bearing unchanged in the 40 years since the consensus had first quarantined Earth. "Distinguished representatives," Leon began, his voice cutting through the noise. "Humanity did not choose this path. You forced it upon us when you isolated our world based on prejudice rather than evidence. Now we offer you a choice. Recognize Earth and its allied systems as sovereign territory, establish diplomatic relations, and begin a new chapter of cooperation, or continue to pretend we don't exist while your authority erodes across the galactic rim." The Consensus High Council, still led by the original members who had judged humanity, radiated hostility. Sotral's crystalline form pulsed with angry light. "You have violated the most sacred laws of the consensus," the counselor declared. "You have stolen our technology, established unauthorized colonies, interfered with protected worlds, and now you demand recognition. This is precisely the aggressive, disruptive behavior that justified your quarantine." Leon remained unmoved. "We developed our own technology based on principles we observed. We established colonies in unclaimed systems, and we protected worlds that you were secretly exploiting, like the Vorians, whose atmosphere you were modifying to exterminate them and make way for Morva colonization." Murmurs spread through the chamber as evidence appeared on display screens. The consensus harvesters seeding the Vorian atmosphere, similar operations on 12 other worlds, resource extraction that violated the consensus' own stated principles of non-interference with developing civilizations. "This is manipulation and deception," Morva protested, its gelatinous form rippling violently. Edited footage meant to undermine consensus authority. "The evidence has been verified by representatives from 30 independent systems," Leon countered. "The Free Systems Alliance has documented your activities for decades. You present yourselves as benevolent guardians while exploiting those without the technology to resist." Humanity refused to accept such hypocrisy. As the debate raged, urgent messages began flooding into the chamber. Defense stations along the consensus border reported massive energy signatures emerging from hyperspace, an armada of unknown vessels approaching from multiple vectors. "What trickery is this?" demanded Rentha. "Is this a human attack?" Leon's expression showed genuine confusion. "These are not Earth vessels or Alliance ships. We have no knowledge of this force." The main display showed the approaching fleet, biomechanical vessels with crystalline structures unlike anything seen in known space. They moved with perfect coordination, bypassing consensus defenses using technology that rendered shields ineffective. "Central worlds under attack," reported a consensus commander. "Unknown hostiles have penetrated to Murva and Sotrol systems. Planetary defenses failing." The chamber erupted in panic. Sotrol turned to Leon, accusation clear in its pulsing light patterns. "This is your doing. A human deception to force our capitulation. Scan those ships," Leon instructed calmly. "Compare their energy signatures to Earth vessels. You'll find no match. This is not our attack." As data confirmed Leon's claim, a transmission cut through all channels. A crystalline entity appeared on screen, similar to Xotrol in base structure, but larger, more complex, radiating cold intelligence. "We are the Zeraxian Imperium," the entity announced, its translated voice emotionless. "Your consensus has expanded into territories we marked for future harvest. Your quarantine of competitive species has denied us potential vassals. Your interference is concluded. Resistance is inefficient." The Zeraxians had evolved in the spaces between galaxies, developing in isolation until their resources grew scarce. Now they sought new territories, and the consensus, focused on internal control, had failed to detect their approach. "All consensus defense forces responding," reported a military commander. "But the enemy technology neutralizes our standard countermeasures." Leon activated his secure communicator. "Director Takeda, are you monitoring?" Maya Takeda's voice came through clearly. "We see it, Leon. Stand by for Phase 4 implementation." Leon turned to the High Council. "The consensus faces extinction. Humanity and the Alliance can help, but only as equals, not subjects. You would exploit our vulnerability to force concessions." Sotrol demanded. "We offer salvation in exchange for respect," Leon corrected. "Earth vessels are equipped with deflector technology that can counter the Zeraxian approach. Alliance worlds can provide refuge for evacuees. Together, we can resist this invasion. Separately, we all fall." The consensus had no choice. Within hours, an emergency protocol was enacted, formal recognition of Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory, acknowledgement of the Free Systems Alliance as a legitimate political entity, and the creation of a joint defense command to coordinate the response to the Zeraxian threat. Commander Sasha Reeves found herself in the unprecedented position of leading a combined fleet of Earth, Alliance, and consensus vessels. The human approach to warfare, adaptive, innovative, embracing controlled chaos, proved devastatingly effective against the methodical Zeraxians. "They expect us to follow predictable patterns," Sasha explained to her mixed-species command staff. "The consensus evolved through cooperation, the Zeraxians through perfect efficiency. Neither understands the advantage of controlled unpredictability, humanity's evolutionary gift." The battle for the galaxy lasted 17 months. Human ingenuity, Alliance resources, and consensus numbers gradually pushed back the Zeraxian advance. Worlds were lost and reclaimed. Species that had never cooperated found common purpose. When the final Zeraxian command ship was disabled near the galactic core, Sasha led the boarding party personally. The captured Zeraxian commander regarded the human with cold calculation. "Your species was accurately assessed as dangerous," it stated. "The consensus erred in quarantine rather than elimination. We would not have made such an error." "The consensus feared our potential for conflict," Sasha replied. "They failed to see that facing challenges, including conflict, made us stronger, more adaptable, ready for threats they couldn't imagine." 5 years after the Serxan War, the galaxy had transformed. The rigid consensus had been replaced by the Galactic Concordat, a more flexible arrangement that recognized the value of diversity in approach and evolution. Humanity, once judged too unpredictable for membership, now held leadership positions throughout the new structure. In Geneva, at the headquarters of Earth's diplomatic corps, Dr. Leon Chen met with Director Maya Takeda for the last time before her retirement. At 95, she had lived to see everything she had planned come to fruition. "Did you know it would unfold this way?" Leon asked her, gesturing to the holographic display showing Earth ships and stations throughout the galaxy. "When they exiled us 45 years ago." Maya smiled. "Not the specifics, but I knew their fundamental error. They feared what made us unique instead of valuing it. They thought isolation would tame us or render us harmless." The main display showed the approaching fleet, biomechanical vessels with crystalline structures unlike anything seen in known space. They moved with perfect coordination, bypassing consensus defenses using technology that rendered shields ineffective. "Central worlds under attack," reported a consensus commander. "Unknown hostiles have penetrated to Murva and Xotrol systems. Planetary defenses failing." The chamber erupted in panic. Xotrol turned to Leon, accusation clear in its pulsing light patterns. "This is your doing. A human deception to force our capitulation." "Scan those ships," Leon instructed calmly. "Compare their energy signatures to Earth vessels. You'll find no match. This is not our attack." As data confirmed Leon's claim, a transmission cut through all channels. A crystalline entity appeared on screen, similar to Xotrol in base structure, but larger, more complex, radiating cold intelligence. "We are the Serxan Imperium," the entity announced, its translated voice emotionless. "Your consensus has expanded into territories we marked for future harvest. Your quarantine of competitive species has denied us potential vassals. Your interference is concluded. Resistance is inefficient." The Serxians had evolved in the spaces between galaxies, developing in isolation until their resources grew scarce. Now they sought new territories, and the consensus, focused on internal control, had failed to detect their approach. "All consensus defense forces responding," reported a military commander. "But the enemy technology neutralizes our standard countermeasures." Leon activated his secure communicator. "Director Takeda, are you monitoring?" Maya Takeda's voice came through clearly. "We see it, Leon. Stand by for Phase 4 implementation." Leon turned to the High Council. "The consensus faces extinction. Humanity and the Alliance can help, but only as equals, not subjects. You would exploit our vulnerability to force concessions." Xotrol demanded. "We offer salvation in exchange for respect," Leon corrected. "Earth vessels are equipped with deflector technology that can counter the Serxan approach. Alliance worlds can provide refuge for evacuees. Together, we can resist this invasion. Separately, we all fall." The consensus had no choice. Within hours, an emergency protocol was enacted, formal recognition of Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory, acknowledgement of the Free Systems Alliance as a legitimate political entity, and the creation of a joint defense command to coordinate the response to the Serxian threat. Commander Sasha Reeves found herself in the unprecedented position of leading a combined fleet of Earth, Alliance, and consensus vessels. The human approach to warfare, adaptive, innovative, embracing controlled chaos, proved devastatingly effective against the methodical Serxians. "They expect us to follow predictable patterns," Sasha explained to her mixed species command staff. "The consensus evolved through cooperation, the Serxians through perfect efficiency. Neither understands the advantage of controlled unpredictability, humanity's evolutionary gift." The battle for the galaxy lasted 17 months. Human ingenuity, Alliance resources, and consensus numbers gradually pushed back the Serxian advance. Worlds were lost and reclaimed. Species that had never cooperated found common purpose. When the final Serxan command ship was disabled near the galactic core, Sasha led the boarding party personally. The captured Serxan commander regarded the human with cold calculation. "Your species was accurately assessed as dangerous," it stated. "The consensus erred in quarantine rather than elimination. We would not have made such an error." "The consensus feared our potential for conflict," Sasha replied. "They failed to see that facing challenges, including conflict, made us stronger, more adaptable, ready for threats they couldn't imagine." 5 years after the Serxan War, the galaxy had transformed. The rigid consensus had been replaced by the Galactic Concordat, a more flexible arrangement that recognized the value of diversity in approach and evolution. Humanity, once judged too unpredictable for membership, now held leadership positions throughout the new structure. In Geneva, at the headquarters of Earth's diplomatic corps, Dr. Leon Chen met with Director Maya Takeda for the last time before her retirement. At 95, she had lived to see everything she had planned come to fruition. "Did you know it would unfold this way?" Leon asked her, gesturing to the holographic display showing Earth ships and stations throughout the galaxy. "When they exiled us 45 years ago." Maya smiled. "Not the specifics, but I knew their fundamental error. They feared what made us unique instead of valuing it. They thought isolation would tame us or render us harmless. Instead, it forced us to become exactly what they feared," Leon finished, "but also what the galaxy needed." Outside the window, construction continued on the Concordat's new headquarters, being built on Earth as a symbol of humanity's central role in the new galactic order. The quarantine that was meant to contain humanity had instead unleashed its full potential, creating the civilization that would ultimately save the species that had rejected it. "They meant it as a prison," Maya mused, watching ships from a dozen worlds in Earth's orbit. "We made it a crucible." The judgment that was meant to exclude humanity from the stars had instead forged a species ready to lead them into a new era, one where diversity of thought and evolution was recognized not as a threat, but as the galaxy's greatest strength. End.